Why are we not taking responsibilities for our children? Tell me why. We have these beautiful kids, mashallah, and we give them everything in the world except what they need most, which is our presence and a great Islamic foundation. The next story that I will be sharing with you will tell you how many of us feel that we are raising our kids in a good Islamic setting, but really, we are not. I want to tell you a story about a sister who was almost 30 years old. She had 3 kids, a great career, working on 2 doctorate degrees. She had 3 houses, 2 nannies, living the American dream, right for those in America. Many of you may be that person or think that sounds like a great life. Well, the problem was she was empty. Empty of what? She had it all according to society. She was living the life, right? I mean, she had a lot even by the Western standards. I tell you, my sisters and brothers, this sister was raised in America from the age of 6, and due to not having a good Islamic upbringing, she was lost for almost 30 years of her life. As a mom, the sister was ashamed when she first registered her 5-year-old daughter in an Islamic school because she barely knew anything about Islam. Yet she knew she wanted to learn it, even if it was from her little daughter. She was ashamed that she was 30 years old and working on 2 doctorate degrees, yet she had no clue how to read the Quran in Arabic. Subhanallah, many people would have died for her status, married woman with 3 kids, having all of it. Yet she felt a big hole in her heart. She felt depressed, sad, and empty. She realized that she needed Islam to make it full. She needed to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no matter how hard it was. My dear sisters and brothers, I tell you this only that you can see that it is never too late to change and become the person that you want to be. It is never too late. When this sister first came close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and decided to obey His commands, she even scared her own Muslim family. Everyone freaked out and thought she was going crazy. But she wasn't going crazy. She was finding who she wanted to be, which was an obedient servant to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. She eventually gave up the houses because of the interest. She gave up the nannies and she began to homeschool her 3 kids. Even though financially it was better for her if she had worked. Some of you may ask yourself, how do I know this sister so well? And how can I tell her inner thoughts? Well, I'm here to tell you that that sister was me. Don't rob your children from this, my sisters and brothers. I beg you to give them their rights that I wish had been given to me by giving them the proper knowledge so that they will rise to be great Muslims one day, that they will make the right decisions whether you're looking or not, God-fearing Muslims who know right from wrong, not just follow the leaders who are taking the wrong path, that they'll have the courage to become great leaders and learn from the example of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. Show them who the greatest role models are. Show them. You see, I realized that my kids would not become who I wanted them to be unless I did it myself. Allah knows best that I would be held responsible on the Day of Judgment. And all I could think about is, what would my answer be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? That is what my motivation is, to make a change, to make a difference. That is what wakes me up at 5 o'clock or sometimes 4 in the morning and makes me go to sleep late. That is what made me write 9 books in 2 years, mashallah. For I realized I don't have much time on this earth. And unless I did something to leave a legacy where I would get good deeds when I passed away, what would be of me on the Day of Judgment? My dear sisters and brothers, I want you to ask yourself the same questions. Where will I get it from? Where will I get it from? Every day we wake up, we are one day closer to meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I want you to tell me, what have you saved up for that day? We all know that no one is promised Jannah. But we also know that our role models worked extremely hard for it, even though they were promised. Subhanallah, imagine Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhum, Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhum, and many more who still strived for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal, even though they were guaranteed Jannah. My dear sisters and brothers, it is time for us to rise again. And it is time for us to take responsibility and make a difference for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By taking responsibility, I mean we must first work on ourselves and make our iman strong, and then help our families, communities, and the rest of the world. And the best way to truly show what Islam is by our actions. The best way to learn those actions is from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is from his example that we should follow. So everyone out there who has not read the biography, the life story, the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, isn't it time that you did? And if you don't want to read it, then listen to it on a CD. And if you don't want to listen to it on a CD, then watch it on DVD. There are many great scholars out there who have talked about the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Make it a priority and listen to them, inshallah. And one of the best ways to start helping your kids and making a change is by buying your children great books. MashaAllah, they will read it if you find the time and buy it for them, inshallah. I tell you this as a fact, for I try to buy as many good Islamic books for my kids every couple of months. I realized the value of this one night when my daughter came up to me and said, as I was washing the dishes, she said, "Mom, can I read the story to you while you're washing the dishes?" And I said no at first because I was so tired and I just wanted to do dhikr while I washed the dishes. But she insisted, so I finally said, "Okay, read it." She began reading it and I could feel my heart becoming happy and light as each story had a great lesson to be learned. And when she read me the story called The Right of Neighbors, I stood there in awe and said, "Please put that story on my desk." In fact, that story made such an impact on me that I felt obligated to put it in this very talk, so that others can learn from it as well, inshallah. So today I will share that story with you. I want you to stop everything that you're doing, and I want you to give me your full attention for a couple of minutes. And it is a powerful story that we can all benefit, young or old. It's called The Right of Neighbors. In Gilan, there once lived a very pious man called Sheikh Abdul Qadir. Sheikh Abdul Qadir was a very patient and kind man. He needed to have a very cool and calm temperament because his next-door neighbor was a Jew who liked to play practical jokes. He was rather a mischievous person, this neighbor, and whenever the sheikh said his prayer, he played music to disturb him. This would have made any other person angry, and there could have been many arguments, but not with Sheikh Abdul Qadir. Instead, he bore all the disturbances, all the mischievous pranks of his neighbor patiently. He never complained to the Jew about the noise, nor did he let anyone else stop his neighbor from playing his music. But one day the Jew was arrested by police in Gilan, and he was put in jail. Of course, with his neighbor in jail, the sheikh had no one to disturb his prayers. He was able to pray quietly, without noise or disturbance, and the sheikh was rather relieved not to be disturbed. But then he remembered that he had not seen the Jew for several days. Where was he? Had he gone away on a journey? Was he ill? Sheikh Abdul Qadir decided to find out what was the matter. He asked some of his neighbors about it and was very shocked to hear what they had to say. "Your neighbor, the Jew, he's in jail," they told him. "What for?" asked the sheikh. "What has he done?" Nobody seemed to know for certain. One neighbor said something about the police not being able to prove the Jew had committed a crime, but even this was not sure about. "This is dreadful," said the sheikh. "I cannot stand by and do nothing when my neighbor has been arrested. I didn't even know about it." In Islam, a Muslim takes care of his neighbor as he does his own family. Remembering this, the sheikh hurried to the courthouse in Gilan to see the local judge. The sheikh told the judge about his neighbor's arrest and offered to help him. "If my neighbor can be freed by paying some fine," the sheikh said, "I'm ready to pay for it. But I've heard that no crime has been proved against him. If you would, please look up his file and the police record of his arrest, and then perhaps you can find out the truth, whether he can be freed." Well, the judge knew the sheikh very well and thought very highly of him. "I will look at the records as you request," said the judge, "and then I will let you know what I have found." The judge acted straight away. He sent out for the Jew's record and studied it carefully. Then he told the sheikh, "You're quite right. The Jew's not guilty of any crime." The judge then said in a very cross voice, "Really, this is too bad why this man was put in jail. When he was innocent, he must be freed at once."